Hey guys, salut mes amis och hallå gubbar, Maxime here. Why is matchmaking 64 tick instead of 128 tick? The general attitude or opinion that you normally see online is that Valve doesn't care about the community and its players blah blah blah, and that's why we have 64 tick. I've been thinking about it, and here's what I have to say. This video is sponsored by Skin Baron. Skin Baron is a market site with prices lower than Steam's community market, so you can find some really cheap skins. It's easy to check out, they have lots of different skins, and all transactions are secured. Visit Skin Baron through the link in the video description below. Last year, John McDonald replied to someone who asked a question related to 128 tick for matchmaking. The problem is that most players would actually be disadvantaged because they can't keep up, which means there are players who would be better off playing 64 tick. That argument alone should be the reason why you shouldn't expect Valve to release 128 tick servers anytime soon. Some people obviously have a hard time believing that computers today wouldn't be able to keep up on 128 tick. Well, that's what this one guy had in mind with this reply. John McDonald did reply to it as well, explaining that CSGO is played around the world and almost half of the players are on systems or net connections that are not new or particularly fast. I find this reply very interesting because it reminds us of how little we actually know about the player base. You and your friends friends, or whatever, people complaining online could very well argue that all players are able to keep up on 128 tick. Valve, however, has all the data they need from all around the world to prove you wrong. They see everything. Do you guys remember when they were forced to comply with GDPR so we could see all of our personal data? You can find it by going through your profile, games, CSGO, and personal game data. First time I saw this, I was so surprised to see that all of my matches that I've ever played were here. I even forgot that my first match was in 2012. I brought this up to prove a point. By now you should be aware that they probably know more about you than you know about yourself. In CSGO, of course. What I'm saying is, you might believe that everyone can keep up with 128 tick, but Valve sees and knows more than us. So in the end, they should be the ones who are able to make the best judgment. However, let's imagine they do increase the tick rate. There are currently around 421,000 players on matchmaking. If there's 10 players on one server, that's at least 42,000 servers just for them. And there's probably way more servers than that. Now imagine increasing the tick rate for all these. I'm not saying Valve wouldn't be able to afford it. I'm saying business-wise, it's probably not such a good investment. They would have to greatly expand the servers and the entire VACnet structure. And because there are players who can't keep up with 128 tick, they would most likely need to give us the option to choose what tick rate we want to play on. So if your PC or connection is kind of bad, you can still play on 64. Even though this solution sounds good at first by allowing us to choose, it would significantly increase the queue times when searching for a game. That's because you're splitting up the player base by those who prefer 64 and those who prefer 128. This would be terrible for the least popular maps, as they would barely get any matches, and you would still have to wait longer for the most played maps like Dust 2, Cache, and Mirage. But here's the next thing I want to bring up, and this is going to surprise some of you. If Valve were to increase the tick rate, then the truth is that most players wouldn't even notice it. The refresh rate of 64 tick is once every 60 milliseconds. For 128 tick, it's 8 milliseconds. According to the statistics from this reaction test, most people get between 200 and 300 milliseconds. My average was 189, but still, that's 189. Do you guys realize now how little of a difference it makes to increase the tick rate? We are talking about 8 milliseconds. If you really want to feel a server improvement, then I would focus on server hardware, stability, and bandwidth, not tick rate. But the main reason why you would want 128 tick is that it essentially affects your movement speed, especially when jumping. This means jump throws behave differently, and yes, the server will update faster, therefore be more accurate. Don't get me wrong, I'm really not saying that 128 tick is worse or anything like that. It is definitely better. There was recently an interesting experiment made by Kinsey, a well-known modder. I suggest you check it out in the video description. But to keep it short, the results show that the people involved in the test couldn't really tell a difference. By the way, the footage you're watching right now is from my own retake servers, but I changed the tick rate to 64 just to see if anyone would notice. No one did, even after asking if they felt anything different, and people kept playing on it even after I revealed it. So back to what I was saying, even if Valve were to increase the tick rate, most of us wouldn't even notice, and they probably think the same, plus it's not worth the cost. Last thing I want to bring up are third-party services like Faceit. They're all known to have 128 tick servers, and Valve knows about this. But here's the thing, Faceit focuses on players who want more from their CSGO experience. Matchmaking, however, has always been about giving as much players as possible the ability to play competitively. And the best way to do that is by having optimal server settings that works well for any system. And as you can see, it works. There's a lot of players in matchmaking, even if it's only just 64 tick. So, to summarize all this, and these are just my own thoughts, the reason why matchmaking is 64 tick is because some players won't be able to keep up. It will increase the queue times if we get to choose. There's other alternatives available to players who want more from the game. And lastly, the difference it makes isn't significant enough for Valve to just go, okay, let's increase the tick rate just to get it 8 milliseconds faster. However, John McDonald also said that it may be worth it though. Who knows? This was last year, so let's see what happens. If you want to support my channel, then make sure you like the video, subscribe if you want more, and I'll see you guys soon. Stay awesome and go bananas.